Right, you may just have heard me taking an illegal photograph there, but the scene is just too pretty for me not to take an illegal photograph, so I do apologise for that. We're just showing you there some clouds building over the Olololo escarpment, and of course some zebra, which are not at all worried about the clouds building over the Olololo escarpment. Olololo, of course, is the wonderful word, I think. I think it's a good word to say, don't you, Ferg?
Best word.
The best word ever. Olololo. Really is quite an impressive scene, that. Right, I've taken my last illegal photograph. I won't do it again. Well, I will, but not right now. And these, of course, are the plain zebra, same species as the ones you get back at Djuma, just a slightly different subspecies. And of course, when we talk about species and subspecies, you know, a huge amount of the time, there's so much dispute amongst the scientists who are responsible for telling us these things that it almost becomes a pointless designation in many respects. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed talking of subspecies. I mean, the differences between these ones and the ones at home are pretty obvious. The shadow stripe being the most notable one. I think that they're slightly bigger here, and I think also that the males certainly look a bit more donkeyish than ours. Ours tend to look like rather good-looking horses, but I think the ones here tend to be a little donkeyish. Much as they would object to me saying that, I've no doubt. What was I going to say? Oh yes, I was going to tell you about what I think the lions look different. They're supposed to also be a slightly different subspecies, and I think the big difference here is that the lions have got very large ears, large square ears, which they definitely don't have at home. I suppose this is home for now. I mean, you know what I mean. AKA, you say, why is it illegal to take photographs in the Mara? It's not. I'll tell you why. What we used to do, we used to take photographs all the time when we were live on air, and it made the following noise. I'll show you. And it became so distracting that we decided it probably wasn't a good idea, and so we don't do it anymore. And I'll just quickly show you what it used to sound like. It used to sound something like this. Are you listening? You'd hear that going again and again and again. And so I have a very clever camera, and it can take totally silent photographs. And so I don't have to worry too much. See, I'll take one now. There, I just took one. You didn't see. I'll take another one. There, I took it. You didn't even hear. Anyway, it's not illegal, but it is a little distracting to do it while you're trying to give commentary. But sometimes the scene is too magnificent, and you have to just take a chance and be naughty. On we go. There's now a storm also coming from the right-hand side, which is a little intimidating, I must confess. Right. Ali has gone from one large waterhole to another, and she is going to find a hippopotamus, a flock of red-winged pattern coals, possibly mini Egyptian geese, but I'll leave her to tell you about them.
So it was like James is here with us. He's got it quite right. I am really hoping we're going to see lots of little things, but hoping for some very nice geese. Maybe we'll check up on those little ones and how they were and how many of them have survived so far. And then, well, of course, the hippopotamus, or hippopotami that might be down there. Not too far now from the water. There's a little squirrel making an alarm call. Where are you, squirrel? Now I just want to take a second and hear where the squirrel is, because last time I had squirrels alarming around this area, Hosanna ended up being here. Okay, the squirrel is inside of the tree, so maybe there is something around a tree, maybe something like a snake, but I can't really see the squirrel. I just know where it's calling from. Apparently there were some tracks perhaps for Tandy and Tamba are heading this general direction this morning, so who knows. Are down.
Yeah. You can definitely do that. Now, I'm sorry about, I believe there's a bit of a signal problem there, Djuma, but I don't think you should worry about that, because I'm about to show you something quite remarkable that has got very little to do with wildlife and much more to do with physics. There's a whole colour spectrum that's been created in that cloud. Isn't that amazing? I'm not sure why. The water vapour somehow creating a prism of some sort, I imagine. I'm not really sure. That is quite remarkable, isn't it? Huh. Beautiful, beautiful scene. And that cloud is sitting... No, it's not actually. It's moved away from where we have to go. So that's good news. Seems to be moving north away from the camp. That is just gorgeous. Righty, we're nearly at the terminal point of our drive. We're going towards the river now. There used to be a crossing point here that humans could go across, and it would be possible for us to build a bridge across, but as Graham very well succinctly put it, it's very intimidating to build a bridge in water teeming with crocodiles and hippopotami. Alright, Ali has found her signal again, and she's got a fish eagle that she'd like to tell you about.
Yes, we did find signal and a fish eagle. Super excited to see it. This is such a stunning creature. And always around Chitwa Dam, I am sure the spear that we often look at when we come down here has been, or have been, the king and queen of this particular dam for quite a long time. Now I keep hearing alarm calls. Sounded now like maybe a guinea fowl heard or saw something. So we're just gonna maybe stick around this area. Perhaps Tandy and Tamba are really not too far away, and it would be quite interesting to see if they do come around. Here's to hoping, guys. Now, the fish eagle is over there, and if you look at its crop, so at that area just underneath its beak, you see that it's looking quite full. And the reason for it is because it seems like these guys have managed to make a kill, which we actually have found not too far from the water. So it was funny because I think we spotted the kill before the fish eagle, so not too far from where we are and very close to the edge of the water. I think they just haven't been able to fly away with it because it's a bit too big. But what we're looking at there, it's a half-eaten barbel. Look at that. So it seems like the fish eagles have been quite successful in their hunting. I don't think it was the crocodile, just by the way that it's been eaten, and I reckon the crocodile might have eaten it all already. I'm not too sure where Vlad is this afternoon. I haven't been able to see him from here, but this would definitely not be from a hippo. So I think the fish eagles have been feeding off of it and have been enjoying a very nice meal today. But like we said, it still looks like it's maybe a bit too big for the eagles to fly away with it and try and put it in a tree or in an area where nothing else is going to come and steal it from them. I wouldn't be surprised if there was any type of leopard or just any other little creature around here that might come and steal this barbel from the shore. Alright, sorry guys, I'm just listening to the radio about any possible updates around this area. But it's alright. Alright, it seems like nothing that we should really worry about, and now we've got a very cheeky oxpecker that's gone on top of a hippo, and it's pretty much using the hippo as a platform to be able to get onto the water. Very cheeky. You are lucky that the hippo allows you to be right there. Lots of hippos around here, and we've got one beautiful hippo a bit more to the left. Oh, no, he's gone down, and we've got the two youngsters there playing around. And there was quite a big bull, or what I think it's a bull anyway, that's been looking at us and eyeing us. Hello. Yeah, very curious creatures. I wonder what it is with hippos today. They're all going back down into the water, and luckily it's not that windy, so I think we're going to be able to enjoy quite a nice sighting with all of them around here. I am hoping, however, that if we stick around long enough, the fish eagle is going to come down and try and get a bite of this barbel. While we wait for the eagles to come down here, let's go all the way to James, who has found actually some flowing water.
Now, we're sitting here on the banks of the Great Mara River. As promised, we managed to get to the northern terminal point of our traversing, and I believe there used to be a crossing point over here that humans would go across, but I don't think the wildebeest of the Great Migration have ever gone across it. We did show you one wildebeest there, but of course, as one swallow doth not a summer make, nor doth one wildebeest a migration make. And so the main herds are still way down to the south of where we are now. They will come around here at some stage during the next, well, few weeks, I hope. And they'll come around here, they'll graze here, they may cross. There is a small crossing point up there. Otherwise, way down to the south, they'll be crossing. But it's nice to see that the river is quite full. There's a little lovely sound of it making small rapids. And lurking, of course, beneath its murky surface, crocodiles. Many. Everyone's favourite nature's villain. Right, we're going to have to turn around now and start heading for home. We're a long way out, so it doesn't mean we go out to shut down. We just need to start moving. So while we do that, let's go back to Ali and her hippopotami.
Hippopotami are saying hello to James, I suppose, because as soon as they heard his name, they all started coming up. No, I'm joking, but look at that, it's a tiny baby hippo. Well, not that tiny, but still a youngster. Look at that small face, isn't that super cute? And the other one next to it, I know it looks a lot bigger, but it's also a young one, a juvenile. And it's amazing to see how many scratches and scars it's got on its back already. I think love bite from a hippo is always a bit of a hurtful thing, because they've got very sharp teeth. So even the mothers, when they try to make
Well, unfortunately, the gremlins are in full force at Chitwa Dam this afternoon, and so poor Ali is having to swat them off left, right, and centre. But at least she's got some company in the forms of hippos and fish eagles and Vlad, and well, a lot more company than what we've got. Hey, Seb.
Yeah,
It's quiet at this stage. We've just got each other's company, and good old Rusty as well. Now we've been tracking this leopard track all the way from Treehouse Dam, zigzagging this way and that way, and it's eventually crossed at Twin Dams, and I'm pretty sure it's Tingana's tracks from last night. I didn't think they would be that fresh, and he went all the way and eventually apparently was found this morning sometime, crossing from Nkoro into Torchwood and going northwards, which makes sense because his tracks were kind of going along Gari Main and then down into Little Gari, and then from there he would have marched east, which is about some sort of par total for old Tingana. He likes to stride, and it's no surprise that he's all the way out there. But I'm just following up on a report that there was tracks for another leopard crossing in this area that we're in now from this morning. Apparently the tracks were quite fresh this morning, and there was dung that they even saw on the road that looked as though it was still steaming. So I would imagine that there might be, hesitant to guess who it could be, but maybe could be Tamba and Tandi, although I know Ali got an update that their tracks were going towards Chitwa Dam Wall, so maybe it was him and he just did a loop round. It is what happens. But I can see why Ali was going crazy this morning. There was literally tracks everywhere. Where are you calling? There's a grey go-away bird calling from somewhere close to me, and I can't see where he is. You hear him, Seb?
I can hear him.
Sometimes always good to stop and look at grey go-away birds when they're calling, because, well, they often detect predators. Or I can see him, but we're not going to be able to get a camera on him. He's way back in the thicket. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to watch him. It might just be us that's been approaching that he's had a little shout at. I don't see any leopard tracks anywhere here that I could even remotely detect. In the place that we were just now, it is quite hard and thick and difficult, so maybe it would be a little bit tough to find them there, but I don't see anything remotely leopard looking on this road. No. Right, so that leaves the young male leopard track that we had around Treehouse Dam, which I still have no idea where he went, because he looks like he just did a big circle. Maybe he's still lying at Treehouse Dam, and we'll probably head that way again, just in case. We know that Hosana likes to come out at sunset and hang around that dam itself, so I might just head back there. I wanted to quickly just check this den site that Gwen used to use, in case, you never know, maybe she's back in this area, or there's a hyena in this area. It would be nice if we could find these den sites or find out where our hyenas have gone. I know a lot of you are very concerned as to where our hyenas could be. Now, it doesn't look like any sign there. It looks like it's nobody's home. You can see the hole itself actually looks like it's gotten smaller, funny enough, since the last time I saw it. And it seems as though there's no one who's even really been walking there. You can see the sand is all powdery and puffed up. There's no visible tracks to indicate that anybody's actually been living there. But it definitely looks like the hole itself has been choked up a little bit with soil. So maybe somebody did excavate a bit and left a big mound right inside, but you can see it's just a cavernous abyss at this stage. No actual sign of anything inside. Alas, Seb. Well, now we're going to try and negotiate a rather rocky road, and hopefully this doesn't cause Rusty to start squeaking again. Let's see. No, so far so good. There we go. And we negotiated that just fine. That was quite smooth, actually. I'm quite surprised about that. I thought it would be a little bumpier. What we will have from up here, which is, while we haven't found any sign of a leopard or found any sort of animals at all, we are going to have a beautiful sunset from up here. So we will try and find a nice place to view that. And while we do that, let's go to Mr. Hendry. Some say he's now taken over from Crocodile Dundee with his leather hat, and he's busy driving around in the Mara.
There is a beefy, everybody. It is a big beefy Mara beefy. Very large. Big horns, shaking its head, doesn't believe what I'm saying. Obviously doesn't like my accent or something. Anyway, we're still very much on the northern reaches of our traversing area. Oh, there's an Egyptian goose. I don't think I'm going to bother to show you that. You've seen plenty at Chitwa. Now, most, of course, of these buffalo in this area have got very wide horns in comparison to the ones in South Africa. That one looks particularly, well, I don't think it looks slightly less than impressive, frankly. Anyway, he's all right. Let's carry on going. We don't have too much time left. I may have to go out of the other gate in order to avoid trouble. So this area is quite sort of, well, it's rocky, leading down to a marsh, which I'm sure there are things living in, and then down across to the river. We've turned slightly away from the river now. And then we're going to go down through these plains, probably across their airstrip and back towards home. Here is a much larger track or road, which we'll get onto. There we go. Now, I believe that Ali, unlike me, is not afraid of rain, but perhaps she might be a little afraid of the cold.
There are some guinea fowl going absolutely crazy, and I just want to go and find out where it is that I can hear them, because it sounds like they're coming from somewhere around here, and they are making a racket. Now let's see if perhaps we can find anything around here. More closely to where we were. Sorry guys, we're just gonna try and see if we can find why these guinea fowl are going like this. There were leopard tracks heading into this general vicinity in the morning, and they can be quite loud when they see a potential predator, so I wonder if perhaps they're not looking at something that we might be quite interested in seeing, because they have gone pretty loud, and it is somewhat thick around here. So I just want to see if perhaps we come across anything. They're still going. I wonder if they're not... There we go! Found the guinea fowl! But what were you alarming? What are you guys looking at? I don't know if there's a smaller creature around here. What is going on, guys? So, if you guys can hear that, that is guinea fowl alarming, or alarm calling. So they have spotted something that they're not comfortable with, but I can't seem to find anything. So I don't know if perhaps there's a snake or a smaller predator, maybe something hiding low on the ground in the bushes, because normally when they find a leopard, they tend to go on top of the trees, but they are clearly very upset about something. What is it, guys? Now they've gotten everyone wrapped up. Bree, you say that they have certainly found something. They have, but I want to go maybe around, see if we cannot see what it is that they... Because... Sour. Yeah, they've seen something sour. I don't know what though, because I can't really see anything from where we are, and I thought maybe there would have been a leopard, but this is quite puzzling. I don't really know what they are looking at. And Emery, you're saying that maybe they're alarm calling against me. No, well, the only reason why we found them, we were quite far away on the road, was because they were already making this noise, so that there's something that's been bothering them from before we even arrived here. So I don't know what it was. I'm thinking maybe something small, perhaps something like a genet or a snake, because I cannot see anything else around here, but it's quite amazing just how loud they are. Because if they were alarming at us, they would also be staring directly at us, which they're not doing. So I'm even more puzzled now than I was before. I don't quite understand what just happened. Our beard, you say maybe a snake. I think it's potentially a snake. Would have been quite cool to see maybe a python or just any other snake for that matter, but no, I don't quite understand what just happened. They clearly saw something small, and I mean in this particular area it could have been something like a wildcat, because now they're running in every single direction. It could have been something like a wildcat, maybe a serval moving around this area. I know Tristan used to mention that when he used to work at Chitwa, he used to see a serval every so often. So I wonder if perhaps there's clearly not a leopard, but I just want to see. These guys are going crazy now. Oh my god, and now there are some more on the other side. I don't know if maybe the ones on the other side started and these ones are just doing in solidarity. Dave, you're saying you're wondering if they're calling because it's about to rain. Definitely not. There's not one cloud on the sky today. But I'm just very puzzled by what we have just seen. I think maybe there was a smaller predator, and like I say, maybe something like a genet or a smaller cat or perhaps a snake, but I can't see anything around from where we are. And I mean, you guys heard it, they were going absolutely crazy for a while. Normally when they see a leopard or something, they get very upset. That's when they start being so noisy, but I have no idea what it is that could have upset them this much. Now we are looking very carefully all around the grass just to see perhaps what it is, but I can't see anything. So it's, it's a day of mystery. Predators. Phantom predators maybe. We're still going. I've got no idea what it is. It seems like whatever it was with the racket that they were making, they've calmed down a little. Interesting. Right, we are going to maybe do a bigger loop around and see if perhaps we can go all the way to the other guinea fowl that were alarming. But let's go over to James, who's got a potential guinea fowl predator.
Look at those wonderful, wonderful creatures, everybody. They've just come scooting across the road. They are, of course, banded mongoose. It's not why we stopped here. That's one half of the troop. The other half is still there, Ferg. Look, they're all up top there. Quite what they're doing, I'm not sure. Why they're sitting here. They come. Isn't that cool? I think some of them were sort of halfway here when we arrived. And then I think they probably got just a little bit nervous, and so half carried on and half stopped. That's them calling. Sounds like a bird going. Oh, this is just special. Now watch as they come across the road. There's a bird, not moving. Gorgeous giant kingfisher. Isn't that special? Oh, it's flown off. That was very cool. Let's just roll down the hill, see if we can't get a sight of the kingfisher. The mongoose is still there. Hi guys. Their noises are so special. What's the matter?
Camera came apart.
Sorry, I think you lost us there, everyone. Okay, sorry about that. I'm afraid the kingfisher seems to have disappeared down this laga or drainage line. Through.
Well, it seems James is also under attack, so both Ellie and James have had their fair share of gremlins, and I've had a few this afternoon, and well, Rusty was under attack from a stump earlier this morning, so it's been a tough day for the old cars this fine feline Friday. But what we do have, which should be visible fairly shortly, is a giant red orb that is about to go behind the mountains, and so I'm trying to quickly just get to Buffelshoek Dam where we'll be able to see it in its last sort of phase as it goes behind the clouds. And we're dropping quite quickly, and that means that we're going to get an obscured view fairly shortly. Come on, almost there. The reason why I came up here is because I found elephant tracks, but I think they were from during the day, and they were heading in this general direction, and I can actually see them on the road here, but I'm sure they go northwards and away from here. Oh no, Seb, I thought we were going to be a little higher. That's not ideal at all. No! That's not ideal. Oh well. Our big sun that I was hoping for above Buffelshoek Dam has decided to go behind the trees, and, well, not very much of a big sun anymore. Sorry, Seb.
If you reverse, maybe?
If I reverse? We can. What about the dam wall? No, the dam wall won't be high enough. I think we've lost it, unfortunately, Seb, but let's try. The problem is this acacia is in the way. So there's a big acacia here that's just stopping us from... There we go. There we go. That's a bit more of a view of it. Not that it's going to last very long at all, unfortunately. But there it is. Just sort of dropping down below the horizon. It is a very pretty way to finish the day, that's for sure. I was half expecting some elephants to be at the dam as well, but alas, none. It's amazing how, by the last cycle that I worked, elephants were literally falling out of the trees everywhere. There was just pretty much an elephant around every corner, and we had beautiful sightings of them all the time. And even just before I came back from leave, I know Taylor and Ali had lots of magical elephant sightings, and since then we've struggled with Ellies. There's been really very little evidence of them, and even when there has been evidence, they seem to just be completely moving at night. And I wonder why it is that all of a sudden we've just lost... So old Taylor McCurdy is back in the FC and has piped up with a comment of the fact that she thinks that they'll be back tomorrow now that she is back. Well, Taylor, I can only hope for you. The thing is, though, Taylor, is that what we do know is that sometimes when you come back, the cats disappear. So let's not hope that that's the situation. Let's hope cats stay around for you, Taylor, because we've had some fantastic cat sightings, and I really hope you get some fantastic ones too. Given that you had a tough time last cycle, you were telling me that you had very few cat sightings, so I'm really hoping that you're going to have a wonderful few weeks ahead filled with spots and tawny coloured coats and big grey elephants. So there we go. Right, sundown, time for a cat of our own, Seb. We've definitely tried our best to find one this afternoon, and I think we shall be rewarded for the efforts that we've put in. I don't think we're going to come out empty-handed, so don't worry, Seb. Hold faith until such time as the last second rolls round. We know we have the famous last-minute leopard Tingana, who likes to come out and sort of surprise us, so maybe he'll make an appearance. Maybe tonight will be the case of a last-minute lion. We had that male lion's tracks, and well, none of us have really followed up there this afternoon just yet, but now's the time to start heading in that direction. What have we got here? Scrub hares. 2 of them bounding across the road and into the thicket. Seb, it's been that kind of afternoon. Did you shower this afternoon, Seb?
Maybe too much.
Too much? Yeah, maybe you smell too clean, and that's why all the animals are running away from us. But you can see how many elephant tracks there are. Look at the road in front here. You can actually see that the path pretty much continues across the road with elephant tracks. So it just shows you that Ellies have been moving up and down here, but where they are, I am not quite sure. They seem to have all disappeared at this stage. A little bit down, Seb. And And there we go. That's where you can see the smoothness even in the midsection of the road, which we wouldn't expect to be smooth because, well, that's not where tires drive, and you can see how it's going across. And it will also be aided by hippos that are coming out of the dam. They'll also leave some tracks here, but probably more to do with Ellie's. Right. Not playing the game, Seb, are they? Now it sounds like there's a torchwood female lion that's just been found right on the Kruger National Park boundary. It's been interesting to try and listen to the updates about the Tortured Pride because it seems like they've been up and down and that they're not really doing very well from what I've heard. I've heard they've been struggling to find food and they're looking a little on the skinny side, and they've been kind of broken up and been different parts, and females have been mating with the Birminghams and other females in other sections, and it's all been a bit confusing really. So I'm not quite sure what's been going on with them. Hopefully they've still got all their cubs. I know there was reports of them a few days ago and the cubs were there. I think they said 9 cubs, so they might have lost 1 in the last few months. Right, well, we're going to go to Gremlin Dip, which is Nyala Road North, and while we sort of negotiate that, I believe Ali has fought off her gremlins, is now back in the land of good signal, but yet not in the land of good animals just yet.
Be good signal. We have actually done a loop around the back of Chitwa just to see if perhaps if there were more guinea fowl around here, because it sounded to us like there were some just a bit further away from the ones that we were looking at, and we bumped into a different group and they were also calling like crazy, but facing away from us. So I don't know if maybe they were all Why are you running like that, Kudu? So we've got some kudu running in front of us. Very strange afternoon this is. And there's a third one running. Huh. Okay, well, at least you're not properly running, so you're not panicking that there might be something else around here. Very strange. I wonder what the guinea fowl we're looking at. I think our best guess would be to go with something like a snake or a mongoose, because had it been perhaps something more cat-like, from a leopard to a potential serval, I think they would have definitely flown and gone on top of a branch of a tree where it's a lot harder for anyone to get to them. But we've got some beautiful kudu girls over here. Nice to see you. Were you running away? Were you eating the nice yummy green plants of the lodge? They often do. They'll come inside of the lodge, and not just kudu, but bushbugs do it often, yala do it, impala do it, because a lot of the times, well, lodges try to keep the gardens nice and pretty, nice and green, so a lot of the animals come in and they start eating in there. It also happens every so often with the elephants. They'll learn that certain areas are out of bounds and that very green and yummy grass is in there. So I think if I could make a rough assumption, I would say that we have more elephants breaking into camp during the summertime just to be able to get in and get the fresh, nice shoots that there are inside of a fence than what there is actually outside. Now we've got a dickup that landed in front of us. Seems like, whoop, there goes one of the rain birds. So while we carry on going down towards the beautiful Chitwa Dam and have one last look at the mystery that's unfolding in front of us, let's go to James, who I believe is trying his best to run away from the rain.
I am absolutely running away from the rain. We don't have a huge amount of time left, but what I want to do is just turn the corner here, go up onto the ridge and just give you a view of the weather coming in, and some elephants and some giraffe, and well, let's see what else there is. Let me just go around this one corner. Please excuse the wind. My hat, while it is practical for the sun, is utterly impractical for the holding of a microphone out of the wind. You go, okay, right. Fergus is just going to wipe something. Go for it, Fergus. Just so that we can get you a proper view of what we want to show you. Is everything wiped, Fergus? How wonderful. How wonderful that we are all wiped up. Right, there is your landscape shot. down to the north. Is it not magnificent? It is not quite as sloped as that, though. It is, actually. Sorry, I thought I was casting aspersions on Fergus there, almost suggesting that he hadn't levelled his camera, but in fact, there is a gentle slope down. I feel dreadful now. Sorry about that, Fergus. I do apologise. I hope that you will find it in your heart to forgive me. How wonderful. It is quite a storm. I don't know if it'll reach here, though. I mean, it doesn't look like it's coming in very quickly, but it does seem to be joining up with the one that was over camp earlier. That has mercifully not hit us. I'm not a fan of getting wet, really. I'm not a fish, you see. Beautiful. And the direction you're looking at now is pretty much, well, it's pretty much east, actually, northeast. And we were all the way, that thick line of trees you can see there, sort of midway, is about where we were. At the northern terminus of our drive today. Alright everybody, I think it's probably going to be it from us. We might see if we can do one last segment from the very top of the hill, but if we don't, then I will see you, well, later sometime, and Ali is still at Chitwa.
Well, we are very happy that James managed to escape the rain. Now, we have one guinea fowl not too far from us that's also alarming in that general direction. So we are going to stick around here for a little bit, see if perhaps we see what it is that's going around. There's a guinea fowl to the left, and she's gone quiet. Well, it's gone quiet now, but who knows? Maybe we'll be able to see something else. It seems like, okay, back to feeding it is, so whatever it is that it saw, it wasn't too bad. Now, I think maybe we're gonna swap and have a look a bit more to our right-hand side, towards the dam side, because there is that pair of Egyptian geese with the little ducklings all the way there, and I think they started with quite a lot more than what they've actually got now, and I can only see 3 of them walking with their parents. Let me just double check with the binoculars that I'm seeing 3. Yeah, indeed, only 3. And I think when they started off, this is not the ones that are slightly older, that there were about 8 of them. I think this one started being like 6, and now we are down to 3. It's a tough out here in the African bush, and sometimes not all of them make them, but at least they're there. It seems like Tristan has managed to find one of the most interesting birds that we see all around. It's almost like a giant turkey. So let's go over to him and see how this bird is doing.
Well, we do. We have our African turkey, otherwise known as a ground hornbill, perched quite precariously at this stage on a dead branch. And interesting about this is that it's by itself. Now, it's very uncommon to see ground hornbills on their own. They generally are in small groups together, and I've scanned all the other trees in this area, and alas, no sign of any other hornbills. So I don't know where the rest are. Maybe they're still down feeding, and the last little chance to feed before the night closes in, and they'll then use these trees to roost. Remember, they are not animals that see very well at night, and there's lots of other kinds of predators that move around in the darkness of night, things like leopard and lion that would love to have a snack on a ground hornbill, and so they go up into the trees just to stay nice and safe. The thing is that a dead tree is what they use because it's such a big wingspan. It's much easier to take off from said dead trees than ones with lots and lots of foliage on them, so that's why you find them mostly in dead trees like this, and they make for a nice silhouette. Unfortunately, we've got about 20 million sticks in front of it, which is obscuring the view. So Tati, you like the sounds that this bird makes. They do have a very cool sound. So the female says, "Honey, come to bed," and the male says, "No, not yet," and I'll play it for you now, so just give me 2 seconds to find it quickly. Of course, it doesn't sound really like that, and it's in no way the way that I speak, but it is a nice sort of dull, not dull, hollow sound, I would call it. Now let's find it quickly. Southern ground hornbill, there we go. So there we go, that's the call for the ground hornbill, and the female was the first part, the sort of lower sounding one, that was honey come to bed, and then the male at the end. No, not yet. Now that one was a bit confusing because there was two females actually calling there and one male, so that would have thrown a curveball to some birders out there, or maybe to some of you that were trying to listen for the honey come to bed story. Now of course when you are learning to be a guide, this is how you get taught, is people will try and teach you bird calls by using phrases that sound similar to the call, and that helps you just to be able to remember and to kind of stick in your brain so that you can remember all the sounds out here, because there are quite a few, and so it just helps. Now I'm going to try and see if I can get a more unobscured view of our ground hornbill. I hope it doesn't fly. There's not really any other way that I can go other than straight on this road, so I'm going to try and see if we can't sneak past. Of course this is not a very quiet vehicle, and so the chances of sneaking are very slim, but we shall try. It seems as though we're going well so far. Seb, still there. Now, hopefully if we just go through past this tree we'll get a beautiful view. No, there went our ground hornbill. I'm sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to chase you off your tree. I was trying to sneak past without it flying, and we got most of the way before it did fly, and wasn't that spectacular, that beautiful big wingspan with those black jet wings and those white tips, and that kind of dropping down through that belt of Venus. Very cool to see. Nice, well done Seb, good camera work. Wonder if there's anything at Giraffe Dip. No sign of anything at Giraffe Dip. I was actually, funny enough, have not seen anything at Giraffe Dip before, so one day is one day. I'm sure I'll find something here, but I have never seen really any sign of anything of consequence in this area. I've seen a few of the leopards further north of this, but never down here, so we'll have to keep that for another day. And while we do that, I believe Ali has found her way off the gremlin-filled sort of area that Chitwa has been this afternoon, and is back with us on Djuma, and hopefully her return will bring some luck for all of us.
Well, sorry to disappoint you, Tristan, not quite on Djuma yet. Hopefully soon. We just wanted to have one last look on the main road towards one of the drainage lines, so hopefully no gremlin attacks, just to make sure that we've checked all the possible areas for those guinea fowl. Like I said, there were leopard tracks into this area this morning, and it's good having a look around, see if perhaps there's anyone that we would like to see. But if we don't get lucky around here, we will definitely be leaving this area and then head back to Djuma in the hopes that maybe that mystery male lion will start roaring and we'll be able to have a bit more of a look. Erica, you're wondering if some of the animals in this area hibernate during the winter. Some of them do. We've got the barbels, for example, the fish that you may know them as catfish as well. They go, because the water sources start drying out, then they go into this hibernation state where they pretty much just lower their metabolism down to the point that they don't really need too much food to sustain themselves. Crocodiles go into a semi-hibernation state as well, although for crocodiles July is a very important month as they'll start mating. What other creatures do we have? Well, we don't get as many insects around, and a lot of them are hibernating or just in the pupa phase or the larval stage of their life before they start swapping into the insect that they're going to be in their adult life. And of course the snails. The snails go, some of them tend to go underground, and we start seeing lots of old snail shells all around the bush. So I think it's they to do it, and I've been wondering what else. In terms of the bigger creature we get in this area, like we're gonna go through a bit of a bad gremlin patch. So while we turn around and head back to Djuma that's free of gremlins, let's go to Tristan and see what he's got for us.
Well, one has to get the Gwari bush out and just slap all those gremlins around, get rid of them when leaving Chitwa. It's always good just to go, and Taylor the other day showed us how to do it with her gremlin dance that maybe we'll need to get her to do tomorrow afternoon again, because, well, gremlins have been in full force today. So Taylor, I'm sure you are still in FC. Get those dancing shoes on, for tomorrow you shall be whacking gremlins off, both Rusty and Wendy, until your heart is tired of doing so. She's left FC. Oh no. Well, we'll have to send her the message anyway via the Twitter verse, so we'll just have to all tag Taylor and tell her to get her dancing shoes on for tomorrow. Hashtag Safari Live. Let's tell Taylor McCurdy to have her dancing shoes on. Now, some of you may have seen us going over the damn wall. We did wave this time because I got into trouble last time because it didn't wave when we spent the whole time there with Tumba the other day. So we decided that we'd give everyone a little wave. So hello to all of you. Hopefully you were seeing us on the damn cam as well as, well, now seeing us on the normal camera. We're going to try one more time towards Treehouse Dam and then to that area where those male line tracks go, and hopefully, you never know, maybe somewhere, somehow we get lucky with something. The cats have defeated us this afternoon so far. Has there been a cat in the Mara this afternoon, Seb? This would be the first time in a very long time. It's the first time in a long time, I think, that we've gone catless between Mara and Djuma feeds, which is a strange one, but I'm sure will be rectified in the coming hours. We did have Shadow and Cub for Feline Friday, and we got spoilt with a rather lengthy sighting of those two, so we can't complain at all. I think we did all our leopard work in one morning for the day, so I can't really complain. But a lion would be nice. It would be very nice just to see him striding down the road, going for a drink at Treehouse Dam, Hasana in a tree watching him from far away. That's what I reckon. What do you think, Seb?
Yeah.
Okay. Good feeling. Here we go. Everyone's got to cross fingers and cross toes. Well, I can't do that while I'm driving because we will crash. So let's not do that. Seb, you can cross toes, and everyone at home can cross toes for our Lion Hosanna Treehouse Dam Sunset show. That's what we're going to call it, and hopefully it will happen. As for elephants, well, I don't believe that exists. Somebody is definitely playing a prank with these elephant shoes and has walked all over the place, because I drove Nyala Road North, and I promise you, you can't even see the road. It is just elephant tracks everywhere, up and down, all over the place. Most of them given are from yesterday, and we took the day off yesterday, so it seems like the animals decided it was time to play yesterday and time to be out. There was also no guests at Vuatella or Gallagher, so I suppose Djuma was the perfect playground if they wanted a quiet day out, much like what we did, is had a little quiet day. At least we got to do a bit of a staff bumble, and we got to show Innocentia, who's one of our editors, her first ever leopard in the wild, and she was gobsmacked by that, and she really enjoyed it. And then not only did we get 3 different leopards yesterday afternoon, but we also got a male lion roaring, and there was a few members of our crew that had never been in close proximity to a male lion roaring. Some of them had only ever heard it through the camera lens or had heard it on TV, and were absolutely blown away by Nena having a full-on roar at us. He was roaring right towards the car, and they got to witness it from 5 meters away. It was quite special to see, so it was really nice to show them that, and to see just how amazing it is when you witness that for the first time, because us as guides and even cameramen, we get to see it not regularly, but enough that you start to kind of get used to the fact that lions roar and that it's an amazing sound, but you just sometimes need that reminder of just how special it is to hear this huge voice of this lion roaring at you, and the amounts of sound that an individual animal can produce. It is just quite frightening how loud it actually is. So that was really cool to hear, and I'm sure that all of them that experienced for their first time must have loved it. I know Connor was one of them, and he definitely said it was awesome and nothing like he could have imagined, and he said no matter how much he's heard us talk about it and prepare him for that, it was far more than he expected, and it absolutely blew his mind. So that gives you an idea of just how amazing that sound is. So there we go. Now hopefully we'll hear him call again. When I get to Treehouse Dam, I'm going to switch off and I'm just going to spend 10 minutes admiring the view and just sort of checking around and seeing what's going on. And maybe in that time, it's now the time of the day where a male lion should start to vocalize, so maybe he'll get going for us and I'll be able to then hear him roaring. That will be the idea anyway. Then tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning's my last drive for a few days because I go on leave, so tomorrow morning I want to go and just check Mvubu hyena den, because I know last night a lot of you said there was hyenas going absolutely crazy behind the lodge somewhere. Now Shadow and the cub did have that kill up Vuatela access, not too far from the lodge. It was about sort of northwest from the lodge, so it could have been from there, but the way that you guys described it to me was that it was quite close to the lodge. So I know that that den site sits just north of the lodge, and it might be a worthwhile place to go and check. If there was lots of hyena activity like there was last night, I'm still sure that some of them are on this property somewhere, and so I'm going to give it another ditch effort tomorrow morning, first thing, to go and see if they're not actually lurking at that den site themselves. So that's going to be one for tomorrow morning. For those of you who like hyenas, tune in first thing tomorrow. So Bobby, you're asking, do you feel the vibrations from the lion's roar when he is that close? Most definitely, Bobby. It's an amazing feeling. It almost feels like, you know, I don't know if you've ever been into a place where there's been massive loudspeakers that have made a lot of noise, and those loudspeakers almost feels like your chest is vibrating and the air in your lungs is being forced out. Yeah, that's very cool. So we had Shongile there a few days ago. Now we've got somebody different. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? There's a young male kudu that's on top of the termite mound with the sun setting in the background. That is absolutely wonderful. Very nice, Seb. Well done. Beautiful way to finish the day, isn't it? Yes, we're looking at you. You can see it's now caught right out in the open, so it's having to kind of stay still and use that way of staying still to camouflage and hope that we'll just move on and not see it for too long. Look at the ears focused on us and watching very, very carefully. Have we caught you out in the open? Now, of course, kudu like to be in thickets, so when they're stuck like that, Regita, you're asking how we distinguish between a kudu and a nyala, and you say that their markings are very similar. Well, Regita, they are very similar, but I'm going to show you now quickly how we do this. You can see the kudu there. He's got white stripes, and he's got quite a sort of big hump around the front leg area. So on those shoulders is a rather large hump that you'll see, and that will basically be a little bit different to a nyala. Nyala tend to not have as big a hump as you see there. Also, the coloration between kudu and nyala is different. A nyala is a male is a dark brown color, whereas a female is that rusty red. Kudu tend to be a more grey brown than anything else, and so that's how you can tell the difference between those two. And then on top of it is size. This male kudu, who's probably about a year old, is already bigger than a fully grown adult nyala, so they're much larger animals than the nyala, but the look itself is quite different, and I'm going to try and find the differences for you now. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just trying to find them in my book. Okay, so here we go. Just try to see if I can't find one where there's the two together on the same page. Sorry, Seb, I'll be 2 seconds. Okay, that's fine. We can do these two. Right, so if we have a look at the bottom here, this is our kudu that we're seeing, basically a very similar version of the kudu that we've got sitting on the termite mound. Young male, you see how he's got a sort of grayish neck area over there, and then this more sort of brownish body, and then lots of fluff around the throat area and the top of the neck, but nothing along the belly or the back. Alright, now if we go to a male nyala, which is this guy over here at the top, now you see the male nyala on top there. Look at how his fur extends past that shoulder area around to the back. Also the stomach is very hairy, and you see how dark brown that is. Also the kudu's horns, much larger than the Nyala's horns. They have much smaller set of horns that don't twirl nearly as much in the males, and the males then have these sock-like coloration on their lower limbs with a darker shoulder area, and the females in front, you see they're sort of rusty color, whereas the kudu are a grey coloration. So much like that young kudu that we saw just now, a little bit more grey than what these guys are, and then the size difference is massive between them. So these are the Nyala females and young males, and then the Nyala big male at the back. So hopefully that will help you, and you'll be able to then identify Nyala going forward and kudu going forward, and that will help you when you see them on screens or in photos, and you'll be able to then know which one is which. Now I'm just trying to close my box of books so we don't get too much dust on them. Let's get rid of that because that's going to fall off. Right, now we're going to leave our silhouetted kudu, who is looking ever so good on top of its mound, and while we do that, I believe Ali, for some reason, is putting on her gloves because she sounds like she's cold, and that must mean she's gone through the Mulawati or the Mulawanini, and those places are cold.
Tristan, well done. I think he is a very good tracker because he's able to track human movements too. Indeed, we went through the Mulawati and then onto Treehouse Dam, so I am quite cold and put on my gloves. I think my hands and feet get very cold very easily, so rather put them on now before it's too late and my fingers freeze and fall off. Oh, okay, maybe. Let's go, Wendy. All right. We have also brought the spotlight out, and we're just checking around this area, see if perhaps there are signs of anything. Like we said, we've had quite an interesting day with tracks everywhere and mystery predators all over, but for some reason they haven't been showing themselves. And like Tristan was saying, I find it quite interesting that we've had a catless drive in between us and the Mara, but I think it's a good reminder of how lucky we get sometimes and how special it is to actually see the animals that we see whenever we see them, especially when it comes to the leopards that are so elusive, and in some areas you never see them, and well, of course, those big beautiful male lions that we have so gotten used to seeing. So there was a funny saying, and I think it might even be an African saying because I've only heard about it here, but it says that you cannot control everything, and that's the reason why your hair was put on your head. So I find it quite funny, and who knows, perhaps it's a good reminder that we've got to be in tune with nature and just be grateful for what we get whenever we get it. Because sometimes, despite our best efforts, nature knows best and she won't reveal itself to us. But having said that, I do have hope that our last minute leopard is going to show up and be somewhere around here, perhaps Hosanna, because he was putting such a beautiful display yesterday. And I'm roughly heading onto the area where we think maybe that male lion went onto, or the drainage that we think he might have gotten into, because we had no tracks coming out. And I'm sure he's been having a wonderful snooze the whole day, so time to wake up, boy, and start maybe roaring and revealing yourself to us. That would be very nice. But also, still looking for a porcupine. I've decided that I'm going to be very stubborn and I want to see a porcupine on Djuma. So now that everything is starting to look a bit vegetation wise, maybe we'll get a bit luckier with a porcupine somewhere around here, so I don't get tired of them. They're so beautiful and so big. So come on, porcupines. And then, well, of course, we're also on the sly looking for pangolin, but who knows if we'll get it. Seems like some of the lodges around the south, they've been quite lucky seeing the same pangolin on a few occasions, so hopefully we'll get lucky too. Seems like Tristan's also gotten his spotlight out, and I think maybe we're gonna meet on the same road to wait for this lion, but let's go over to him and see perhaps if that's his plan.
Well, I just went past Treehouse Dam and it was all quite quiet there, so I thought I'm just going to get a little bit higher so that if this lion does roar, that I'll be able to pinpoint a little bit better where it's actually calling from. So if we're just a little bit higher up on Philemon's cut line, I should be able to hear just a little bit better than being down in the dip at Treehouse Dam. Now, if Ali's looking for porcupines while we kind of listening out for our lion, then the best place, funny enough, and this is told to me by a number of different trackers, is that if you want to find porcupines, the places to look for them are in drainage lines at night. Apparently they go towards the tambutis that often grow on the fringes of a drainage system, and that's where they'll go and try and sort of get food, because they'll often eat the bark of a tambuti and the root system of tambutis. And so they reckon that if you want to find porcupines, some of the best places is close to or in drainage lines themselves. So there we go, there's a little tip for Ali. Not that it's ever worked for me, to be honest. I've checked in drainage lines and all the porcupines I've seen have never actually been in a drainage line themselves at all. Now, they could just be pulling my leg and making me drive in cold sections in the winter, but given that they were on the front of the vehicle with me, I doubt that that's what they wanted to do. But that's what they always believed in, that's what they always said. You certainly do find a lot of tracks for them on the edges of a drainage system, so I suppose it's possible. Right, no male lion that way, no. Okay, Seb, eyes peeled. We're going to try and see if we can't find. So it seems that out of nowhere, Ali has managed to pull out the grey ghosts, even though we were looking for them all afternoon, which is slightly saddening on our part, but wonderful on Ali's part. So let's go across to her and see what an elephant looks like after all this time.
Well, half an elephant, if I can say this. Just half an elephant there, and it's just busy feeding on the branches and everything else around it. So now it is a bit hard for me to quite understand what it is. I think it's a male. I can't really see the forehead from here, but now that we're able to see it in infrared, which amazes me at just how incredible this technology is, I believe this might be a boy that's in must. So funny enough, it was just walking on the side of the road, very thick vegetation, and we only saw it the very last minute. So I actually think that just out of safety, well, he is quite chilled, but if he does decide to come into this area, might just move a little bit further off into the parallel road to us, which is about 5 meters away, so we can give it a bit of a breather. Mark, you're wondering if elephants ever sleep lying down or if they do it standing up. Well, they can do it both ways. They don't sleep as much as some of the other creatures that are around in the African bush, but roughly they'll sleep for a few hours every day, and they can, I think maybe alright, just gonna move a little bit, see if perhaps we get a better view of this Ellie. But yes, they can sleep lying down, and often you will see the little ones lying down and the mothers all around them in a circle. And if not, then you'll see them pretty much almost in a semi-sleepy state standing up. Often during the hot part of the days we see them like that. I think we're gonna maybe have a bit of a much better view from here. So yay, one elephant the whole afternoon. We've been seeing Ellie tracks for the last 3 days, and finally we're able to look at one of them. So very excited for all of us. This might signal the return of the elephants to beautiful Djuma. Although, well, not really the return, because they have been around, we just haven't been able to see all of them. Hello. So I am a bit more inclined of thinking that this elephant has been under somewhat a bit of a stressful situation, and by stressful I mean it could very well be that he's in must just because of the secretion on the temporal glands. Although, looking at you, let's have a bit of a better look with these binoculars. So this gland that they've got on the sides of their forehead, there where you see that almost looks like a tear behind the eyes, normally it's, a lot of people call it the emotion gland. An emotion because when elephants are feeling a very strong emotion, it can be stress, it can be something good, they tend to secrete a substance from their temples. Now, this actually looks more like a female than anything else, so I think maybe I have actually completely misjudged the situation thanks to the dark, as you've got a very pointy square head, but also some very obvious mammary glands up in front. So I wonder, would you be alone? Let's have a look at your forehead. So there is an easy way of determining if an elephant is a female or a male just by looking at their forehead. If it is a pointy forehead, then it's a female. If it's a much rounder forehead, then it is a male. Are you saying yes? Wonderful to see an elephant. I think we haven't been able to see one in quite a few days, and we have definitely been trying. So wonderful that now that we've got these infrared technology that allows them to see them during the night with absolutely no damage to them. Because had it been under normal circumstances, then we would have pretty much not been able to see it, because we don't shine the spotlights at the diurnal animals for fear of impacting on their eyesight up to a certain level. So we are getting very spoiled with some very nice technology, and we're able to see what they're up to during the night. Sorry, Megan, can you just repeat that question again from Alison? Alison, you said that you thought must time was over. Well, there's not a particular time for must. Sometimes it may seem that they get it more a bit during the summer times, just because maybe more females will be coming onto estrus, or there are also some other researchers that point that it happens during the winter time, so that when they give birth, eventually it's going to be synchronized with the rainy season. However, there's no proof for any of these things. What we do know is that once a year, male elephants go into the state of must, which is a heightened sexual state where there's a lot of protein that's being pumped through their system, and they're desperately looking for females to mate with. So it lasts anything between, well, I would say approximately about 3 months. But like we said, there isn't a necessary time when they come into must, or a necessary season. So elephants are not seasonal breeders, so it can happen pretty much any time during the year. Adele, you're wondering how long does must last for? Well, must normally lasts between 1 and 3 months. Depends on different specific situations. Sometimes it might be a little bit less, but I would say 1 to 3 months is in general what the researchers point that must can last up to. And sometimes it is considered to be a bit of a like anti-breeding strategy or evolutionary strategy between the elephants, because it'll give sometimes the smaller elephants that are a bit feistier than the bigger ones, because they are in this almost like very crazy sexual frenzy that they're looking for females to mate with, and they just want to advertise their dominance in every possible way, that it gives elephants a bit of a chance of having a bigger genetic pool of mixing of genes. Because the smaller ones that might not get a chance to breed then might be able then to breed with females by pushing other males away. Jimlin, you're wondering what the secretion is for the elephants in must. Well, it's quite a mix of things, but I think in general terms there's a lot of proteins and testosterone that's being pumped through the animal system. So it's almost like they're constantly dripping urine, and that urine content is going to be full of testosterone, because they have an excess of it in their body, and they produce a bit more when they are going into must. Just as a way, it's pretty much like impala when they go into the rutting season. They produce more male hormones that are going to drive them, and where the sexual drive is going to override pretty much any other need for the animal. Oh my goodness, it's hiding now behind the tree. Are you breaking everything? I think this one is preferring what seems to be some old acacia tree, and that's the bark that it seems to be breaking, not anything else around it. Debbie from Illinois, you're wondering if it's unusual for a female elephant to be on her own. Yes, it is quite unusual. Normally the females are with the rest of her herd, but sometimes just because we see a female on her own doesn't necessarily mean that she's on her own. There could be, or it could be that the rest of the herd is hiding somewhere in between the bushes or is further into the thickets and we cannot really see them from where we are. But yes, you are correct. Mostly we will see the males by themselves and then the females will be in a herd with their relatives or their other female relatives and the youngsters. I wonder what's the story around here. I think, who knows, maybe there are some more hiding behind the trees, maybe there are some more behind us, but whatever it is, it's clearly this elephant has had a bit of an interesting afternoon, just judging by the secretions on their side. And like I said, they normally only get it when or research points towards the fact that they only seem to secrete this substance when they're going through very heightened emotional states. So anything from being very stressed in a negative or positive way. There we go. No more elephant hiding behind the terminale over there. Can just barely see. What is that? Is that a foot that I see? Are you heading in that direction? So you see, when they do that, particularly that, they're picking up vibrations from the soil. So sometimes, maybe it is that it's picked up everything else. I think it's communicating and picking up the vibrations from everyone else around her. We're going to see what this elephant gets up to, but while we do that, let's go over to Tristan, who I think has found some more tracks.
Well, we haven't found any more tracks. These are just the tracks that we had this morning and that Ali had this morning of this male line, and they cut off right here. So they're literally just behind us, cut towards sort of Philemon's cut line. And so I was just coming to check. You never know, maybe he moved during the day and came out for us and we were able to see him, and kind of just stopped every now and then just to listen, and well, nothing that we can hear so far. But what Seb and I were commenting on is that yesterday afternoon when we were out and we had that sighting with Nena, he was lying on the edge of the grass and he really was so well camouflaged. If it hadn't been for the fact that he was lying on the edge of the road, I don't think we would have seen him. And even now with spotlights, if he's not facing the way that we are shining and his mane is in this grass, particularly this long grass that we have in front, it's very long, it's going to be almost impossible to see him. So we're kind of relying on him being very close to a road. If he's 100 meters in or 50 meters even, you won't see him at all. So it's a little bit tough in that regard, the area that we're in at the moment, and I was hoping that he would be lying out in the open this morning, given that it was quite a misty start to the day, which means the grass would have been quite damp, and it's strange to have seen him sort of go off the road and into the damp grass, because I would have thought that he would have preferred to be out on the open road somewhere where it wasn't quite as wet and moist as it is when the mist is around. So strange to see, but well, that is the way it's gone. And this area here, I can't see any further sign of him. It's just his footprints that walk down the road. They were on this edge here that we unfortunately have squashed with the vehicle, so I don't know where else to check. I've checked Philemon's cut line, we checked further down Zoe's. There was zero sign in those areas, and so I can just imagine that he's still sleeping and having a good nap, and that we'll probably hear him roaring in the next little bit. No, nothing there, Seb. See, I was hoping he would be somewhere in this area because it's nice and open now, and it would have been really a great place to be able to find him because of how open it is. This is close to that hyena den off Zoe's, and so that's where I was hoping he would be. But alas, he walked a little bit further south and into that thicket, and so nothing there. And we're going to start marching our way back home because it's getting to that time of the evening. And while we do that, I believe Ali has gotten out her IR and is now eyeballing an elephant in infrared.
Seems like the elephant, however, has decided to move further into the bush, and there it is, a tiny elephant. So this female has been fooling us all, pretending or making us think that it was there by itself. But if you look just to the left, there's a smaller elephant right next to the big elephant. So yay, the elephants have returned. I'm very happy to see this, because maybe tomorrow we'll get lucky with some more elephants. So we keep hearing them at night, funny enough, but we haven't been able to spot them during the day. So maybe this is exactly what we needed, to find them now so that we'll have more luck for tomorrow. Now she's got the youngster there, and I wonder what it is that could have caused some stress for it moving while it was moving around. Stacy, you're wondering if baby elephants are born blind. No, they are not born blind. They are born and they can stand and they can move around just a few hours after they're born. They start standing minutes after they're born, and they can definitely see what's around them. So perhaps if there's a baby elephant that is born blind, it's more of a problem from its fetal stage, but no. Some other creatures, however, like baby lions, baby leopards, they are born blind and their teeth haven't come out when they're born. It takes a few weeks before they open their eyes and their teeth come out, just like a normal kitten or a puppy. I can't believe how much they've gotten all the way into the bush over there. I wonder how many more there are, because we can only see this one, the big one that we were looking at earlier, and the little one that was next to it. However, I cannot hear any more elephants around, so I wonder if perhaps they're further into the block, or if it's just this two, and maybe a younger calf somewhere around here. Well, I'm glad we solved at least one of the mysteries. So this female was definitely not by herself. I think the rest of the herd, and it might be a small herd, might be just 4 or 5 of them, might be just 3 of them. But definitely not by herself, because I was just starting now to make all sorts of stories in my head about why she could be by herself, why it had happened, but clearly, I was just getting ahead of myself. And it seems like she's having quite a nice evening. So those two are going to carry on feeding into the night. The little one, I'm sure at one point, is going to lie down and start sleeping while the mother looks after it. I think our elephants have decided to say goodnight for us. So we are going to start heading back home. But let's go over to Tristan, who's got his spotlight out. Maybe he'll have a last-minute surprise for us.
Alas, nothing yet, but there is still 2.5 minutes to go, and therefore, well, we've got 1.5 minutes to find a last-minute surprise. So hopefully Tingana would pop out here. I don't think so, given that he was on Torchwood this morning. Although you never know with him, he can walk about 400 kilometers in a day when he wants to, so it's possible. But we've got the tracks for that male lion. I was looking at them now. They must have been so fresh this morning, because they were on top of all the hyenas, and they definitely were sort of the ones that we heard calling was this same individual. So Ali must have just missed him this morning, and once he went into that thicket, I think he lay down and slept, and we'll probably hear him later. So a bit of a sort of discouraging event, but hopefully tomorrow will bring a little bit of a change of fortune when it comes to our male lions, because they've been a little elusive of late. And Seb was just asking me why they spend so much time apart and are they never together, and I was saying to Seb that I honestly don't know why. They used to be, when they were younger, they were together all the time. I think it's just now they've got such a big territory, so many different females that they're trying to look after, all of which have got cubs, and so it's just kind of pulling them all over the place, which is unfortunate at this stage of the game. Well, particularly for us, that is, because we don't get to see them nearly as much as we normally would. And it was so nice when all of them were together. They were those buffalo hunting machines, and they kind of roamed around, and it's always an impressive sight when you see lots of male lions together. Now it's that time of the day where it's time for us to say goodnight and goodbye, and I hope that you have had a wonderful day with us, and we look forward to Saturday tomorrow. From myself, Sebastian, Rowan and Ali, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Drive.